Shabbat Shalom. It's easy to tell the difference between Jews and Gentiles, explained Jackie Mason, now of blessed memory. After the show, all the Gentiles are saying, "Want a drink? Let's have a drink." While all the Jews are saying, "Have you eaten yet? Want a piece of cake? Let's have some cake." That's about the best Jackie Mason that I can do. Jackie Mason built an entire career on ethnic jokes. I've got a friend who is half Jewish and half Italian. If he can't buy it wholesale, he steals it. Mason also quipped, "I've got a friend who's half German and half Polish. He hates Jews, but he can't remember why." For Jackie Mason, the rich ethnicity of America was a point of celebration and joy, as well as a potential source of fear. "I used to be so self-conscious," Mason explained. "I used to be so self-conscious that when I attended a football game, every time the players went into a huddle, I thought they were talking about me." He also remarked, "America is the only country in the world where you can burn the flag, but you can't tear the tag off a mattress." In today's America, however, Jackie Mason's brand of humor might be condemned, canceled, derided by the media, and dismissed as politically incorrect. On some jokes, they would be right. After all, some of what Jackie Mason said was and is offensive. On other jokes, however, they'd be wrong. And we all need to work a little harder to find reasons to laugh at ourselves in this complicated world. Reflections on Jackie Mason intermingled this week with my continued wrestling with America's culture wars, which have hit home in a unique way recently. In the last month, 2 different individuals sought to speak with me about synagogue membership here because they perceive that our congregation is not woke, and they wanted to leave their woke synagogue for ours. At the same time, we're looking into increasing our membership by bringing younger people into the synagogue family. And we know that among younger people today, to be woke is a badge of pride and celebration. If Zedek is to build up a new generation of membership, if Judaism is to continue among the millennials, Gen Z, and beyond, should we ask forgiveness for our Jackie Mason past and pursue a path of getting woke? Perhaps just as, if not important, in the name of the biblical mandate to pursue justice and to serve as our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper and our gender non-conforming siblings' keeper, does God want us to get woke? Or in Judaism's quest to be countercultural, should we run in the opposite direction of wokeness? The expression "get woke" or "stay woke" arose in the early 20th century, an explicit association with Black Americans' very real need to be aware of racially motivated threats and the potential dangers posed by white America. In 2014, following the police killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, "Stay woke" emerged as the cautionary warning of Black activists on the street, used in a chilling and specific context, keeping watch for police brutality and unjust police tactics. For the Black community, staying woke is about combating racism and injustice. Then, with "getting woke" or "staying woke" appearing as hashtags, the phrase spread virally across social media and crossed beyond the boundaries of Black community into the American vernacular at large. In the 7 years since Brown's death, woke has evolved into a single-word summation of leftist political ideology centered on social justice politics. For those who celebrate being woke, they carefully attune themselves to the suffering of others, they work to empower victims, and they seek to end oppression in our world. And for us, woke or not woke, some of these goals are rooted deeply in Jewish thought. Conversely, to those who are woke, or in the eyes of the woke, one who is not woke is asleep, unconsciously, or even worse, consciously, turning a blind eye to discrimination and oppression. However, to others, particularly those with right-leaning political tendencies, but also to the left-leaning individuals whose leftism is a little closer to center, the expression woke symbolizes a condescending and even hypocritical attitude of judging others. Wokeism equates to a culture of shaming. In 2017, Boston Globe columnist Alex Beams argued, quote, "The real purpose of woke is to divide the world into hyper-socially aware, self-appointed gatekeepers of language and behavior and the rest of humanity," unquote. Saturday Night Live mocked the term woke that same year, suggesting the modern progressive movement is label-driven and superficial. To some, wokeism is modernity run amok, a culture of far left-leaning politics that breeds cancel culture, practices reverse discrimination, breeds intolerance toward those with differing views, and offers a holier-than-thou approach to debate and discussion. Like many things in America, we Jews are both on the front lines of the battle of getting woke, and we're also caught in the middle. On one hand, of course, we Jews are commanded to pursue justice and to offer compassion. As compassionate human beings, then, as patriotic Americans, and as Jews who are obligated to care for our own people, which includes people of color, along with LGBTQ+ Jews, women, and other oppressed minorities, we must try to remedy the suffering and oppression among us. The Talmud instructs us that whenever there is a crisis, we should examine our own deeds first. We're all obligated to look inward and outward, to see the extent to which the individual and the collective Yetzer Hara causes racism, sexism, homophobia, and other acts of discrimination and oppression among private interactions, among legal proceedings, during social interactions, business exchanges, and within the operations of our society's institutions. We must explore our own hearts to overcome our individual and societal Yetzer Hara, our animal instincts toward prejudice, discrimination, to allow our Yetzer HaTov, our heavenly instincts toward compassion, respect, kindness, to ascend. It is true that aspects of wokeism help us to fulfill our commandments of Jews. That said, the progressives among us should also honor and accept that people change slowly, especially with respect to a world changing seemingly at the speed of light. The woke should remember the Jewish value of dan lekaf zchut, giving people the benefit of the doubt. Many of us are genuinely seeking to offer compassion in our own ways to those who are oppressed and to support those who are in need. And we would benefit from a gentle hand guiding us in the most beneficial directions. Few of us respond well to shaming, to arrogance, or even to ideas dramatically far away from our understanding of normal. Speaking of a gentle hand and pursuing growth and change, I was moved recently by the story of the granddaughter of Anita Bryant. Together with fellow conservative Christian activist, Pastor Jerry Falwell Sr., Anita Bryant began her crusades against homosexuality more than 40 years ago, using a variety of strategies that became the basis for anti-LGBTQ activism for decades to come. Bryant is famous for campaigning against the gay community on her opinion that gays and lesbians are all, in her words, child molesters and human garbage. Fast forward to our own day, and wouldn't you know, Anita Bryant's granddaughter, Sarah Green, is a lesbian and due to soon be married. Sadly, Bryant rejects her granddaughter and the entire idea of gay marriage. One might understand then if Sarah Green hated her grandmother and desired to attack her publicly. When asked for a comment in a newspaper article, however, Bryant's granddaughter responded more with sadness than condescension, more with love than with self-righteousness. "I just kind of feel bad for her," Green replied of her grandmother, adding, "And I think as much as she hopes that I will figure things out and come back to God, I kind of hope that she'll figure things out." Despite the grandmother's decade of hatred, Sarah Green spoke with respect and compassion without sacrificing her own position. In this way, she serves as a powerful teacher for us all. Of course, it's easier for Sarah Green to take the high road now that the law is on her side, and we must understand the long struggle for equality fought by the LGBTQ+ community and their friends. You get more flies with honey than with vinegar, the old expression goes. Judaism agrees and calls it arguing with derech eretz. In our efforts to help others get woke to injustice, to suffering, and to oppression, we must practice radical listening and respond with radical kindness and radical respect. There is no place for shaming and for arrogance in holy conversations. At the same time, while I believe there's a certain degree to which those of us who are not yet woke must get woke to the suffering around us, and that we must all as well honor individuals' choices that cause us little harm, I believe that the Jews cannot simply seek to check the box on every progressive issue. More to the point, not everyone who claims to be a victim is exclusively the victim. The Middle East conflict is case in point. Palestinian claims of victimhood and at Israel's right to exist with safety and security as a democratic Jewish state. This is an area in which I am considerably and profoundly unwoke. Despite Israel being, especially as compared to her neighbors, among the most progressive country in racial and gender equality, climate change, and LGBTQ plus rights, Israel is nevertheless subject not only to criticisms, but also to boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. It's true that Israeli policy in Judea and Samaria upsets even most Israelis. No one, especially Jews, wants to see anyone suffering, and everyone agrees that the Palestinians are suffering. Israel is not powerless as it pertains to the conflict. It can and should continue to make efforts to lessen the suffering. At the same time, Palestinians are not innocent victims either. They're guided by a Palestinian leadership that is corrupt at best and terrorist at worst. They cannot agree amongst themselves whether their goal is to return to pre-1967 borders or even pre-1948 borders, with significant implications therein about the viability of a Jewish state and the safety of the Jews who live within. The Palestinian leadership rewards perpetrators of terrorism and celebrates those who kill Israelis. The woke crowd will have us believe that we must always choose the Palestinian side over the Israeli side, and that the Palestinians are better at proclaiming their victimhood. However, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is complex, and to force individuals to choose between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian is a binary fraught with error. What then does getting woke mean for the Jews? I believe it means that we must try harder to accept individuals for the choices they make, even if it is beyond our own comfort zone. If a person wants to be referred to as they, rather than as him or her, we should call the person they. If a person is trying to tell us about how racism or sexism works in covert ways and not just overt ways, we should listen honestly and deeply and try to change our ways in order to end the suffering of others. But as Jews, we must draw the line when getting woke means ignoring aspects of history, when it means hypocrisy, when it means false binaries, when it means shaming or disrespect, or when it means allowing another to claim moral superiority without doing the hard work of listening to and learning from the other side. Getting woke can and should for the Jews mean using the power we have to help those who are in need. Getting woke, however, cannot mean putting Jewish lives and Jewish well-being at risk. Jackie Mason remarked, "My grandfather always said, don't watch your money, watch your health. So one day while I was watching my health, someone stole my money." As American Jews, we must keep our eyes open, looking out for those in need, of course, while also keeping watch as well over our own safety and our own well-being. We must serve as a light unto the nations while also remembering to protect the health of our own people and the health of our own communities. Then again, as Jackie Mason teaches, it's no longer a question of staying healthy. It's a question of finding a sickness you like. May God grant us the strength to get woke when appropriate and the wisdom to know when to remain awake as well, to partial truths, to short-sighted morality, and to threats against our people and our faith. Moreover, as we continue to confront the culture wars of today, like contemporary notions of wokeness, let us remember that among Judaism's gifts to the world is the teaching that the antidote to political polarization is the ability to participate in meaningful and even heated dialogue rooted in respect, in radical listening, and in giving our opponent the benefit of the doubt. In the name of seeking to bridge divides by facilitating communication, thank you for allowing me this Shabbat to share my thoughts. And I invite you, please, with respect and with kindness, to share your thinking with me. Shabbat Shalom.